What's up, hobby friends, and welcome to my vlog video for the month of September, talking about what I painted in August and then what I'll be working on for the following month. I want to dive a little bit into my Blood Angels, talk about the army list, the build, the Legion, where it's at currently. I'll talk about my plans for the month ahead in terms of what I'm painting that are non-Games Workshop related, as well as my plans for Heresy, and then wrap up with some of my video content plans, not just for September, but also moving forward. So after a full month of painting, this is where I'm at with my Blood Angels 30K army. And this is what you see here, about 3,500 points, give or take, depending on the loadout of specific units and heroes. I think it gives me a flexible core, largely for team games, where I can sort of mix and match depending on the individual points levels I have to fill. Within it, I also have my core 3,000 points I'll be using to play the game, at least for the foreseeable future. What you're looking at is, I think, about 32 days of just full painting. When I started the month, I had already finished up the 10 tacticals you see in the back corner, and I had done some airbrushing, I think, on 20 Dawnbreakers, the 20 Assault Marines, and some of the heroes. So that was at the tail end of July, going into August. And then I was pretty much just working on this stuff nonstop. I was averaging 2 days every 10 guys. So it was 4 days for the assault squads, 2 days for each of the 10 Dawnbreakers, 2 for each of the heroes, so the Praetor, the Chaplain, and then the Centurion in the back. It was 2 days for the tactical squad, 2 days for the Rhino, seeing a pattern here, 2 days for the 5 Crimson Paladins in the back. Each of the Dreadnoughts was 2 days. For the Incaendus Contemptor in the back, the Daredale, the 2 Leviathans were each 2 days. And then the final unit that I added at the very end were my 10 Angels tiers. They ended up taking 3 days, largely because of the guns. This is also a really good stopping point, or a natural stopping point for me, because I can fit the entire 3,500 points into my half-size carrying case without it feeling impossible. It's a little crowded, but honestly, it all fits in there. So I have a bit of flexibility. If we show up and we want to play a team game, I can sort of mix and match what I have in my collection. And I don't want to have to bring around the full-size case. It is a bit of a chore, if I'm being honest. And right now it's full of some other projects, some work in progress stuff and commission stuff. I'm using it largely for storage. So using the half size for portability, it's a nice compromise in sort of what I can carry, and being able to carry my entire Legion is pretty comfortable. I've got my 2 trays for my infantry, measuring tape, dice, and templates, and then of course, because it's 2 hardcover books for the Horus Heresy game, that has to all go in a backpack. So in terms of what I have planned for my Horus Heresy Legion moving forward, what I'm really waiting on are plastic Predators and plastic jet bikes. I'm not sure if I want to field too many of them, of both options, but I know that I want to model some Bale Predators because I think it's incredibly narrative, and I think they may be a suitable alternative to Angels Tiers. And I definitely want some jet bikes because I think the models are cool. Maybe I'll build them into a command squad. I don't know yet. There's also an idea I've been throwing around where I want to try and build a Highlander style list. So my list right now currently spans a few units, mainly the Dawnbreakers, and I'm not sure if a talent of 2 Leviathans counts as breaking the Highlander rule. Highlander, of course, being one of each unit type that is non-troops. If it does, then I have to drop a Leviathan, and I need to shore up what he brings in other units. So I'm going to be giving it a think in terms of what my 3,000 point Highlander list might actually look like and go from there. But thankfully, none of those kits are out yet, so I have a bit of a pause or a break in between painting Heresy where I can move to other things. I still do have a couple of models that I've picked up either from the core set or just extra, so I still have the plastic Spartan from the box set. I picked up the Kratos. I still have a Forged World Contemptor and Leviathan, as well as Sanguinius. So I'll probably paint those up, if not in the end of September, maybe in October. I just need a bit of a break from painting all of that red and from painting Space Marines. In the meantime, what I'll be working on is pivoting back to some of my commission work. So I've got some Marvel Crisis Protocol to work on. I know for sure we'll be working on Malekith, some of the new Asgardians, so Heimdall and Scourge. I've got Nick Fury and the Shield Grunts and a couple of other models. We're still finalizing the list. And I also have a couple of additions to that House Tyrannus commission. So I think it's 3 more Cataphron Breachers. And I believe he sent me 1 or 2 Iron Striders. So I got to build and paint those. I'll be recording a tutorial for that. A very quick one just so that he can use, and I'll throw it up on YouTube. And I think that'll be my painting plan for the month of September. In terms of my video content creation plans, and this will tie into what I'm painting on for Patreon as well, I will be pivoting away from painting Marvel for my Patreon for the foreseeable future. I think I'm at a point now where I've got like 55 or 60 Marvel videos, and I'm noticing that a lot of the recipes and techniques are starting to end up being the same. I've covered pretty much the gamut of colors, and unless there's something really unique or special that comes across I want to paint for Patreon, I think at this point now it's starting to feel a little bit same. So what I want to now start doing is tackling my backlog of busts and 75mm figurines. And my goal is to essentially paint at least 1 each month. And that will be my Patreon video for that month. So it'll be probably 2 videos, one covering the build and the approach in terms of collecting references, how I start to think about and break down my color schemes, my color palette, things to consider like mood lighting, primary versus reflective light, things like that. A lot of the theory and the planning, and then a second video that covers the actual painting of the figure itself, the technique, the color recipes. And because I'm painting these larger figures, it'll be geared less like a strict how-to, but more really diving into a more experimental or playful approach of painting miniatures. For my YouTube, I have a couple of videos left to put out. I've got how to paint the Apothecary, which I think will be the 4th and final part from my Blood Angel series. And then I'm going to have one on army speed painting. And I want to caveat that it won't be speed painting per se, because I think it's a bit of a waste. I'll talk a bit more in that video. I'll have a video on painting Sanguinius. And yeah, I'll go from there. Honestly, I'm at a point right now where, because I'm trying to finish all my unpainted models by the end of the year, my schedule is fairly tight, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm creating content that is informative and helpful to you, the viewer, but also isn't creating unnecessary or undue work that is going to stop me from completing the goal or finishing everything by the end of the year. It's going to be tight. I have a gut feeling I'm probably going to fail. I think there are a few pieces that just aren't going to make it to the end, largely terrain pieces, but we'll see. I'm trying to work as fast as I can, which does mean that at least I can already start to feel I'm hitting a point now where I need to find a way to avoid that inevitable burnout or that crash. I think if I keep painting at the speed I've been painting for the past month and a half, I'm going to burn out real fast and need to take like a week or 2 off, and I won't avoid doing that. I think pivoting to Marvel is going to help. I think introducing a bit of variety in terms of my projects is definitely going to help as well. And also juggling my content creation plan is going to be really important. So we'll see how it goes. I think the next few months are going to be fairly in flux or up in the air, so bear with me. I also need to start planning out my content for 2023, especially if my goal for the next year, and I think it's worth talking about now, at least in brief. My goal for 23 is to be able to paint what I buy immediately and not have it sit on a backlog for 1, 2, or even 3 months. This means that I need to avoid tackling army projects where I'm picking up 2,000 or 3,000 points all at once, and I end up with a big pile of grade, because what happens is, as I'm working through that, invariably Atomic Mass or Games Workshop will put out other kits or models I'll want to buy, or maybe I'll get commissions that I want to paint the models for, but then I end up with a backlog of models I already have. So what do? Do I prioritize the new models, push back the old stuff, keep working on the old stuff, and all the new stuff gets backlogged? And I end up with, after a couple of months, a situation now where I'm back again with a huge backlog of unpainted models. So I want to make sure that I'm able to paint what I buy or what I'm sent immediately without pushing it or delaying it for a week or two. This also means that a lot of my content is going to be focused on, I think, weekly creations, or at the very least, monthly creations. I want to be painting larger pieces and be able to record the content for that week and not have to plan too far ahead, because if I'm planning 2, 3, 4 weeks or 4 months in advance, plans change and it can be difficult to juggle all of that. I'm still trying to figure out what my hobby goals for 23 are long term. I definitely want to avoid too many army projects. I think I may take one on. Ideally, I wanted to be expanding my Caravan Overlords, if not necessarily in a playable army, at least as a modeling project. Games Workshop's new squats, or the Voltan, as they're called, have a lot of great kits I want to repurpose for my halfling scavengers / marauders. And I also want to start to scratch build a lot of the vehicles for that army. And I've never actually collected an army where I don't have a list in mind. I don't have a book that I'm building or playing towards. And I think if I approach it as a modeling project where I just build and paint models for fun, for a narrative, and then down the road, when I build an army, I can try and make those models fit that army, it might actually be a lot more fun for me and a lot more narrative and a lot less power gamey. So we'll see how it goes. I think that's, as a skeleton, my goal for 23. So if you've made it to the end of this video, thanks for watching. I think in edit, I will trim it down, but as I'm recording it, it does start to feel a little bit rambly. I'm at a place right now where I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm a little sweaty because I'm sitting in front of a hot light and under some other lights as well, so it's making me sweat a little bit more. So I'm tired and I'm hangry, so I apologize if it does get too rambly and a little bit too sort of nonsensical. Hopefully in editing, I'll have made some sense of the video content. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe for more awesome weekly content on my channel. I'll make sure to drop links in the video description below for my other social media platforms. And as always, until next time, happy hobbying.